Hey guys, how's it going? Okay, so first thing, I'm not plat yet in League. So videos have kind of been put on hold until that gets done. However, I might start making videos because Riot really doesn't want me getting plat at all. And right now, that's probably not going to be a concern of mine, getting platinum with kind of what's going on right now. Right now, Super League Gaming has their online qualifiers going on, and ticket sales for getting into it ended yesterday or the day before when I'm recording this right now, which is upsetting because there's low turnout this year. It seems like, or at least low turnout for Miami. Okay, for those of you who don't know, I live in South Florida. So, and if you don't know what Super League Gaming is, it's pretty much your local city. If they have a team, they get teams together of different rankings that you compete to be on, and you go to a theater in the city and you play against other cities. And it's honestly a fun experience, or at least it's been fun to me. And that's what this video is going to be about. It's going to be about my experience with Super League Gaming. I want to make a video on this because it's something that I really enjoy, having this local community tournament thing against other cities. I really enjoy that type of thing, but it seems like it doesn't. Super League Gaming has a lot of issues. I'll put it that way. Okay? So, I'm going to start at the beginning. So, Super League Gaming Season 1, I was not a part of. Okay? The reason why I was not a part of Super League Gaming Season 1 is because Season 1 was a lottery to get in. Now, when Super League Gaming advertises their League of Legends tournament, they advertise it as the best of your city is playing against the best of other cities, to fight for the honor and reputation of your city. If you're in a lottery system to get into the best, you're not really anything special if you get in. You just got lucky. Okay, so Super League Gaming, that's kind of false advertisement there, but whatever. Um, so wasn't really happy about that. Was kind of pissed off that that's how they did season one, but I was like, it's fine. It's whatever. Um, so I was not there for in the theater for season one, so I don't know what like happened at the theater per se, but I can infer what happened from what happened at season two, which I was a part of. So season two, they actually had online qualifiers for season two. If you weren't part of it, you had to play against other people in your area competing for your city. Okay, and this was how I imagined it would be for who would get picked. It would be a competition against other people in your local area. So that way, if you won more games than someone else, that's because you beat them. Sure, there's always that chance that you can get carried. Just like how there's always a chance that you can get carried in solo queue. But if you win consistently, then you show that, like, yeah, no, I'm better than you. I deserve my spot on this team. Um, Especially, uh, when it comes to five men's, because we can talk to each other on Discord and whatnot when we're setting up our games. So for me as support, I can be a big shot caller and help that way, even if my bot lane gets behind. Okay, regardless of that, there were issues with the online qualifiers for season two. There was an overload of people trying to play all at once, and it crashed the system. It crashed their queue system on their website. And there was, and because they had so many repetitive issues, and it was supposed to be a 3-day, 3-night online qualification period that you were supposed to play. I believe it was 6 games. So there was just a lot of issues. For Miami did not have that many issues, okay? mostly because we did have a lot of people playing all at once. So Miami didn't really have any issues. Where there were issues were in other cities, and because of these issues, they couldn't just be like, okay, the top people are on the teams for the cities, because there were supposed to be 12 teams of 5 people each for 60 people that was supposed to be there. So so because there were issues with other cities, they took a while getting the roster out because they had to do a case by case thing for each different city to determine how they were going to take people. So for Miami, they didn't have to do anything special, but for other cities, maybe the average game was 4 instead of 6. So what they had to do was they had to be like, okay, so if we make the average game 4, then if you've got 4 in, then you're gonna be then that's our threshold now, or something like that. So it took them a while to make the finalized roster for all the cities. So that was a big issue because what happens next is partially a result of that. So that took them like half a week to do. Okay, um, they had a whole week in between the qualifiers and the first night in the theater for the practice meet and greet. So that took them half a week. So that means there was only half a week left for people to decide whether or not they wanted to go after they made the team. So in season 2, what they did was, if you wanted to be a part of this, it cost $5 to be in the online qualifier, and it cost $60 if you made the team and you wanted to go. That was how they did it, and I was fine with that. But other people signed up for the tournament online qualifiers because it was just $5 to do, with no intention of ever going to the theater, because they didn't want to pay the $60, or they didn't want to travel there, or they just couldn't because they're in North Florida and they're not going to drive 3 hours, 4 hours down to Miami to do the tournament. Okay? So those people kind of messed up the system. Even though when you sign up, you have to say like, yeah, I can make it. Yeah, I can make it to the city. Yeah, I know that I gotta pay $60. Blah 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 blah. They had no intention of doing it. So when it said like, yeah, you made this team, um, and they said, yeah, but I'm not going, then that meant that let's just say that takes a whole day to take care of. Then they have to go to the next person down the line, and that has to be done pretty much manually. So that's a big issue. Also, if they didn't respond to the email that they made the team or whatnot, they were just going to be charged the $60 just by default, and just they were going to have a spot on the team, but they weren't gonna be there. See where the problem is here? So it was just a lot of time to give the. It was just there wasn't enough time to properly set up the teams for the event. And so what happened was when we got there, it was a mess in the theater. The teams were all screwed up. They had they didn't really ever get people to replace the people that weren't there. I think they got a few, but at least for my experience, it was bad. There was still after, so they had the meet and greet on day 1, and then the second day was the actual day that we were going to play. And that it was just very problematic. So they had these issues, and that was just everything leading up to the theater. Really, that was just everything leading up to the actual competition against other cities. So then when we get to the actual competition, what happened was, if there was somebody missing, they had to get an alternate. They had people on standby um, at their homes that were going to fill in for people. Yeah, that didn't really work out. So it was just very problematic. It was hard to get somebody in to fill for a team. It could sometimes take up to a half hour or more to fill in spots on your team if they were missing. Fortunately for my team was there almost every single day, which I was very happy about. For a lot of other teams, they weren't, and you could not play. So you could play your first game when both teams were full for you. If your team was full and the enemy team was full for your individual team and the theater, then you could play your first game. But you could not play your second game until all first games were done. So there was a lot of waiting around after your first game was done. So after day one, my team did great. My team, I think, won. They either won both their games or we won one game and lost one game. Our final record at the end was we won 4-2. We won 4 games, lost 2 games, and I know that we lost one of the games on the third day. So I don't know when we won both our games, whether it was the first day or the second day. But we were happy. We did good, and we were apparently one of the only teams that did do good. Um, Most of our teams got their asses kicked for Miami. It was really bad, and it was really sad when like we finish our game, um, and we look if we finish our game, we're like, yeah, we're high fiving each other, and we look up and we see we're the one of the only people with points, and we're just like, oh, oh, okay, I guess. I guess, guys, just come on, guys, you can do it. Like, it was sad. So Miami got their ass kicked the first day. So when it came time for the second day of actual play, people just started to not show up because they didn't want to lose. They didn't want to waste their time losing. So now there's less people. So now we have to wait longer for people to fill in. Once again, my team was all there that day. So then when it came time to the third and final day before like it was going to be like finalized, like okay, whoever's left is moving on to the playoffs. When it came time to the final one, I don't even know if we had half our people there. Like I'd be surprised if we had half our people there that day. It was really pathetic because there was no energy. There was no energy in that theater. People were just upset that they were losing and they knew that they were getting their ass kicked. They knew that they were doing bad. And we knew, my individual team knew that everyone else was doing bad. And we're trying to like get their spirits up and whatnot because my team is kicking ass. We are loud. We are yelling out calls and whatnot. Like you could, if you were in the theater and you were anywhere within like 2 or 3 rows of me, you could hear me screaming like dive, dive, dive and whatnot. Um, and it was I had fun. I had fun being a shot caller, being a legit shot caller for a team. And oh, by the way, in the theater we don't have like any headsets or anything. We're just sitting 5 guys in a row, and we have to yell to make sure that the guy that if I'm sitting on one end and another guy sitting on the other end, I have to yell to make sure that guy can hear me. Okay. Um, but yeah, so final night there wasn't a lot of people. In fact, our mid laners just said, "Yeah, I'm not going to bother showing up." So I had to end up playing mid that game because our field person was only a support main, and I was like, okay, I can play mid because I had been playing quite a bit of mid. This was sometime after the well, this was last year. This was last year, so I was playing LeBlanc, and which actually we won our first game, and I ended up causing a LeBlanc ban the second game, so I was pretty happy with myself. But it just wasn't the same feel not having a fifth member actually in the theater because he couldn't hear anything that we were saying. We had to ping him, and whatnot. It just wasn't the same. So yeah, that was my experience season two. For me personally, I did really, really enjoy it, and you can kind of tell from how ecstatic I am when I talk about it and whatnot. How I talk about my personal experience, my personal team. We had fun. We enjoyed it because we kicked ass. And when it came time, for everyone else, it just wasn't. They just weren't there. They because there was no energy there, and we couldn't. I'm sure the same thing happened with other cities because I know one of the cities that we face had similar issues where they got their ass kicked the first night and people didn't show up this for the second one. Because I think that was the team that I think that was the we faced them the second day. Um, and then the teams that had a lot of that were winning had a lot of energy, had a lot of people that kept coming back. So it's just unfortunate that that's how things went, but it was fun for season two for me. On to season three, which is happening right now. So there's issues already before qualifiers have even started. There's already issues. There's a lack of people that have signed up, and they say this and they don't say which cities have a lack of people. And I soon found out which city it was from looking at the leaderboards. But before I get into that, there was an issue with the tiering system. So how Super League works is there's four different tiers. Um, the tier one has the top 16% of people, top 16 or 18% of people that have signed up in your area. And then the next third of them are in tier two, the next third are in tier three, and the final percentage is in tier four. So, you'll see like high plat and up in tier one. You'll see plat to maybe low gold in tier two, low gold to silver in tier three, and then everyone else is in tier four. Um, that's how it should have. That's how it approximately works. It is based, upon your local area. So there's a lot of if there's a lot of silvers and golds, then technically like low plat and maybe high gold could, in theory, be tier one. Okay, we get into our games for night one. I made a good friend with my ADC from last season, and I know all of his friends now, and so we're all it's me and three of us that are jumping in night one. Well, actually, my ADC duo was not playing for night one, but so it was me and two other guys that are jumping in night one. I'm in tier one, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. Like, maybe there just wasn't a lot of people, this year because North Florida now has a team, so it's just everyone in South Florida. So, okay, maybe there just wasn't a lot of people. But then then one of our guys that's gold 5 is in tier 2. I'm like, okay, that doesn't sound weird until I hear the third guy who is the same rank as me. Actually, he's plat right now. I'm gold 1 currently, and he's plat 5. Thank you, Riot, for not giving me platinum. But so he's in tier 3, and I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. And we slowly find out that the tiering system is completely messed up. That like there's diamonds and platinums playing against bronze and silvers, and it's like, something doesn't add up here. So the tiering system is completely screwed up, but yet they don't stop the queues. They let people keep playing. So the problem with this is that if you're a diamond player and you're playing against bronze players, the likelihood that you're gonna win is pretty high. Let's be honest here. Like regardless of that, like, oh well, bronze player could throw. That yeah, a bronze player could throw, and but they have bronze and the other team has bronze, but one team's on the diamond, so the diamond team has a much higher chance of winning. So, um, so there's a problem with that in which if you have a game with a person that is not supposed to be in your tier, Whether you win or lose, that game really shouldn't count because it's not a good, accurate reflection of what your performance would be. So they had issues with that, and if it was me controlling it, I'd be like, we're gonna stop this. We're not gonna have anyone play games because we have a whole. They had scheduled the whole week for games, and I'd be like, I don't give a shit. We can add on extra days. We can add on extra hours to our queue times and whatnot. We're fixing this issue before anything else gets out of hand because this is a big issue. Because if people start winning games or losing games, how are we going to resolve that issue when that diamond guy that's in tier 4 that should be in tier 1, you know he wins all his games and then he's like, well, I should have my games cross over, when it's like, dude, you won against bronze players. That means nothing against other platinums or diamonds and higher. That means nothing against those guys because it's not an accurate reflection of your skill level. Now that it doesn't really show whether or not how you would actually perform in your proper tier. Um, so I wanted to be like, no, we should stop, but that's not what happened. They kept letting people play, and they kept letting people play even into day 2 before they had fixed the issue. So that was not fun for me. The other thing that they did this year to make queue times better was that they made it so that you were playing against everyone nationally. So everyone that had signed up for Super League Gaming, you were playing against. This is pretty similar to solo queue with voice chat, pretty much. And it was very it was frustrating to me to have this happen because it once again, I mentioned this issue in season 1, how the lottery system was not an accurate description of how they advertised it as the best of the best of your city. Season 2 was the best of the best of your city, more or less. Um, so so in this system, it's not really. It's not really the best of the best. It's kind of just like, once again, like I said, it's kind of just like playing solo queue with voice chat. So it was unfortunate that this is the way that they did it. I understand their reasoning. Once again, it was for better queue times, and there was very, very better queue times this season, but it's problematic in the sense that it's not really the feel when I think of this. When I initially thought of it, I thought it was, I thought it literally was like you were fighting for a spot and whatnot, like how it was in season 2, and they haven't come through on that, and that's a bummer to me. It's really unfortunate because like I said, it's not the best of the best, really, for each different tier. So I was pissed about that. So they fixed the tiering system. They fixed it. They put out a fix for it, I should say. So one of the issues that they were having, where everyone was being in the wrong. Well, everyone was facing people in weird tiers, was because of the um, amount of players in each individual place. So you could see a silver player against a platinum player, but it was unlikely it was going to happen. Um, and it really shouldn't have happened because there was games that silver players were playing against diamond players. That really shouldn't have happened. I don't like. I can pretty much assure you that regardless of how the tiering system was, like 16%, that whole percentage thing I put out, that 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 should have made it so that there shouldn't have been a silver against a diamond at any point of time, because I can see the leaderboards and I can see that there's enough people to make sure that doesn't happen. Okay, so they changed up the tiering system to accommodate their issue that they caused, um, of people being in the wrong tiers, by making it so that one, any game that you played, you can keep your record or you can completely wipe it. Your choice. Um, I don't really know how I feel about that because, once again, like I said, if you are on a lower tier and you're being moved to a higher tier, your games really shouldn't count. Um, and then even then, the games at the higher tier, if you're at a higher tier and being moved to a lower tier, I don't really know if those games should have really counted either. Because there's a chance, because with how screwed up the tier system was, there's a chance that someone in tier one should have been like in tier three, um, and you happen to go against them, so you had an easy game. So it is what it is. But with this change that they made it so that plats and above are tier one, which means that my boy that's plat is not in my tier, which is unfortunate. And then anything that's like high silver to high gold was tier two, and then it's like silver is tier three, and then everyone else is tier four. That's about what they did. Um, and it's not good for the cities that have very low signups. And this is where I said this before. I said before that they mentioned that there was low signups this year, but it was low signups for Miami, and pretty much only Miami. Every other city has large amounts of people signed up. You can look at the leaderboards and you can see that there's a shit ton of people in every single tier. You look at Miami, we're struggling to have 60 people signed up. Like it's that bad. I don't know if we have 60 people signed up. Like that's how bad it is. And it's like you do this tier system, and sure that works that fixes the issue that they caused, that SLG caused, because they didn't want to shut down the queues, because that's not what they want to do. You know, they want to shut down the queues to fix the tier system, and as a result, they had to put in this different type of tier system that does not work for every city. And it's unfortunate because now Miami is struggling to field an actual team, and I don't know what they're going to do. Almost every other city can field a full 12-team roster easily, regardless of the tier system changes that they've done. Miami can't. Miami just can't. They don't even. We have one top laner. We have one like we have one top laner. We have like one mid or jungle or something like, or we have one top laner, one support in tier one. Like what? Like, we can't. There's supposed to be two teams in tier one, and we only have one top and one support. We got three junglers. We got a shit ton of supports in tier two, and we've got like none in tier three. Like it's all screwed up for us. We're supposed to have four teams in tier two, and that's the tier I am in at the moment. I don't think we have enough for four, let alone three at this point. It's really bad. Um, so, like I said, almost pretty much every other city has enough for a full 12 team roster, with the exception of, I think, the one of the new cities that they added. Their tier 4 is like completely empty, where they don't even have a jungler, which is quite odd. But I feel like they're going to have to make some special exceptions for that city and Miami. I feel like they have to, because it's either they make special exceptions or they just tell everyone, yeah, we're cutting teams from we're cutting a team from tier 2 and tier 3 and tier 4 and tier 1. Like you can't just say that. Like they have said that they were originally thinking about cutting the teams down in different tiers because of the issues, and it's like, but you don't need to. You don't need to, if you would just have kept a normal tiering system that you had before and didn't screw up the whole thing originally and have to make a new tier system. So if I was them, I'd be like, we're going to take people we're gonna either like take people that are like literally plat 5 in tier 1, and we're going to say, okay, you can play in tier 2 because you're literally like the difference between gold 1 and plat 5 is nothing. It's literally nothing because I'm gold 1 currently and I was plat 5 last season, so it's literally not a difference. And most people that are gold right now were plat last season anyways, so there's no difference there. I'd say that, or I'd say take people that are at the take people in the tier below and ask them, do you want to play in a higher tier? Um, Starting with the first person at the list because you would want the best person off the list first to move up. Um, so that's how I think you would resolve that issue. You take people that are like the lowest rank with the best win rate in the higher tier and move them down to accommodate for a lack of people, or you take people from the low tier and move them up. That's how I would resolve the issue. So that way that we can at least have a full 5-man team and that no teams have to be cut anywhere. And I feel like most people would be fine with that. Like, you know, if we're taking someone that's maybe mid plat and moving them into games with people that are gold, maybe that's a no. That's you can't do that. But once again, I said like if you're like plat 5, even plat 4 doesn't really it's not really that big of a difference. Um, Move them down to play against people that are gold. I think that's fine. I honestly think that would work. And I think that most people wouldn't have an issue with it. So I don't know what they're going to do. So far, qualifiers is only halfway through. Um, but it would be it's really sad to me to see that Miami has like no one signed up. It's really sad to hear that we're potentially cutting teams. It's really sad to just see any team not have a full roster and say, okay, because of that city, we're cutting teams from this tier or that tier. And that means that in your city and everyone else's city, there's less teams. And I feel like there's ways around it. I feel like this wouldn't have happened if they had the tier system properly set up the first time. If they had just said if they had just admitted, yes, we know that there's issues with the tier system. Um, we know we like because originally when they were like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, there's issues with the tier system. We're going to take care of it. They had originally said like, oh, it's because the different percentages have it set up where you're having some mismatches in some cases. Um, and it's like, no, 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 that's not the issue. The issue is that there are people incorrectly tiered by default. Um, because if I've got 4 guys in Miami, okay, we're gonna count me at gold 1. I got another guy at gold 5. I got another guy at gold 5. I got someone at plat 5. Okay, the guy at plat 5 should be in the same tier or above me if I'm in gold 1, and the 2 guys in gold 5 should be in the same tier or below me if I'm in gold 1. If they're gold 5, I'm gold 1. Obviously, they should be below me or in the same tier as me. But yeah, the guy that was plat 5 was in tier 3. I was in tier 1. The one of the guys that was gold 5 was in tier 1 with me, and then I had another, and then the final guy that was gold 5 was in tier 2. We're all over the place, meaning that your system is broken, you need to fix it, and they did not fix it. They instead said you can play, and as a result, they had to put in a different system, which now is it's not as it I mean it still works for everyone but Miami and a few other tiers in different cities. Um, so yeah, like I said, the qualifiers aren't even done yet, but the ticket sales are done, so no more people can join in Miami. We're done. Like if people, I mean, there could be people that are waiting for like Friday, Saturday, and then they added an extra day for qualifiers um, to play their games. But it's just it's just rough. It's rough on Miami, is what it is. Everyone else is kind of just it just is what it is for them. Um, it makes it harder for some people to get into to like to get a spot in other cities, and then if there's less teams, then yeah. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna wait to see what they do about this, and I hope that they kind of do what I said, and I hope that they really don't have to cut teams. On that note, they do want to have alternates, where they're going to make it. They wanted to have two alternates for each team because of the issue that there was last year, where it was really hard to get fill players in, and it wasn't the same thing. And yeah, so the alternates were going to be like literally just another person for the team. Um, so that was a nice thought, but once again, they then were like, okay, if we're gonna cut back teams, we're gonna make it so that we can have five people for five people for substitution on every single team, and it's like, why are you cutting back teams but then increasing the number of people that can be? That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. That literally, you say, okay, we might cut like one or two teams, but we're gonna have five alternates. So you went from if we have seven people for every team, five plus two alternates, and there's 12 teams. We're looking at um, 84 people, okay, in the theater. Now, if we cut down one or two teams, and let's say we have 10 teams, and we say now there's going to be 10 people. That is 100 people now that you have, and not 84. So that's more people that you're adding into the theater. Even if you put it down to 9, that's 90 people. In which case, why didn't you just have teams of 12? Like 12 teams of 5, or 12 teams of, like, why didn't you just use your original model then? It doesn't make sense. So yeah, I know this has been a long video, but it is. I felt like I wanted to do it because obviously I haven't put out anything on my channel um, as of recent, and this is kind of what's been going on right now. This is like in terms of league. This is kind of my. I'm like preoccupied with this because I want to have a good time at Super League, like I did last year. Because I got my buddies that I know now that are all going there, and we're all gonna have a good time and whatnot. Um, and I want it to be a good experience. I really do. It's just when I see all these issues that are happening, and I look at it and I'm like, okay, well, here's my fix to it. Here's how I would take care of this, and they don't do that. It's frustrating to me, um, and it's sad to me to see Miami have such a low turnout this year. So yeah, um, I'll get some videos out soon. By the way, if you don't know, I actually have decent internet now. Like really decent. I went from 18 megs to 1,000 megs. Well, 1,000 megs. Um, so I've been streaming a lot. I normally stream, guys, from um, around 10 o'clock to 1 or 2. Um, Sometimes earlier than that, depending upon what I'm doing, and then sometimes I stream during the day. Make sure you subscribe to my Twitch, guys, because I am now playing League of Legends. If you have any questions for me whatsoever about League, or you want to just come and hang, pop in the chat, and just come hang with me and talk to me. It would be great. You know how I make all those guides all the time? That takes a lot of time and effort for me. If you want just quick advice on anything, go to my stream. Go to my stream. It's twitch.tv/CW5136. I'll put the link in the description below. But thanks, guys. Like I said, I know this has been a long video, and yeah, I know it just is what it is. I'll try getting some guides out maybe coming soon. And I will probably end up making another video on SLG once season 3 is over. So yeah, thanks guys if you stuck through this whole thing, which would have been ridiculous, but yeah, thanks, and hopefully I see you soon.